Did you feel that little shake that we had recently? No, I did. Did you?
Yes.
So today we are talking with Samar about earthquake and how it affects your insurance, and she's gonna give us a little bit more information. So 4.1 earthquake in East Tennessee. Were you surprised?
No.
No. I was like, what is happening? It started out, I thought it was just like a thunderstorm, and then it rumbled, and then, oh my goodness.
Yes. So I'm originally from California.
Oh, well.
So I'm totally used to earthquakes.
You knew exactly what it was then.
Yes. And I've been through a major earthquake over there. And I know that we've had some here that I felt before. I called my daughter right away and I was like, hey, did you feel the earthquake? And she was like, I was wondering what that was. I thought it was our dryer or washer because it makes like a big noise and shakes the whole house.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that was an earthquake. She was like, oh my gosh, it felt so weird.
Yeah, it was. So does standard homeowners insurance cover earthquake damage?
No.
No.
It's an optional coverage.
Okay.
And most people don't think about it unless your insurance agent reminds you of what's covered and not covered, which I do, by the way.
Okay.
If you're purchasing a policy.
So in this area, like what would it take to get that kind of, is it an add-on to your policy?
Yes, great question. So you can get an independent policy that's just, it's a company that just specializes in earthquake insurance, which we provide. Or you can add it on to your policy for an extra charge. So I usually look at both options to see which one's least expensive. And that's the one that we go with, either adding it onto your policy or having a separate private company cover it.
I was just going to say, so what are the risks of not having earthquake coverage on your policy?
Yeah, I mean, the risk has been low because we haven't seen any damage, here, but we are on a fault line, so it can happen. And if it does, and if it's a big one, then you're pretty much on your own.
Okay, so anything like a foundation crack and so let's say that something happens and it rustles like the plumbing pipes. Like how do they go about determining whether that was earthquake or whether that was something pre-existing?
Okay, so that is when the claims adjuster comes in.
Okay.
And the claims adjusters are actually licensed in claims. So I'm licensed in insurance, but I'm not a claims adjuster or licensed there. So they have all the details on how they can tell. And we have like a storm report and also earthquake codes. And we know what happens in each area at what point. So if something like this did happen and cause damage and somebody calls in like in a week and says, I think this is from the earthquake, then I'm sure most likely it was, but depends if it looks like it was intact before and now it's not.
If it was like, I'm sure they can check to see like how long it's been an issue.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to add earthquake insurance onto their policy, what would that look like?
Yeah, they would contact their insurance agent and just ask how much extra it is to add it on, what's the deductible, and how much damage will it cover? Because those are good questions to ask, and then assess if you're willing to risk it, or if you'd rather have that coverage and that peace of mind. But I would say about 95% off the policies we issue do not have earthquake insurance.
Wow, that many.
Yeah.
So is there a variable deductible? Like in anything else, you could get like $1,000, $5,000 or $10,000 deductible, or are you set on like one specific amount?
So it probably depends on the carrier, but most of them are about a 10% deductible.
Okay.
So 10% of what your home value is, let's say $300,000. So it's a high amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody that's wondering if they need this kind of insurance?
So it is a very personal choice. So because we're in Tennessee, the risk of an earthquake damaging your house, like I said, it hasn't happened, right? So it's not like a common thing like California. So if you lived in California, I would definitely recommend carrying earthquake insurance.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, it's not a big risk factor, but I can't say that it's not worth it or don't get it or whatever. I can give you the information of how much it'll cost, what it'll cover, that it can obviously happen.
Sure.
And then every person is different. So somebody might be like, well, I'm really worried about it. This scares me. And it's only $100 more a year, so I would rather get it. I'm just saying, if it's $100,
if it's that,
yeah. And usually most of the ones that I've had access to that I've rated have been about $150 a year, so super inexpensive. Okay. So to me, my budget, I'm okay with $150 a year for that peace of mind.
Right.
You know, but to someone else, that $150 a year might make a difference and they have to give up something else. So to them, it might not be worth it.
Right. But like now with the way that so many things are changing, flood zones, and you know, with what just happened recently in Asheville and Northeast Tennessee, you know, areas that never ever flooded, now they had all of these, you know, this horrible flood. And so, you know, the world is changing.
Yes.
You know, it's changed over millions of years. We can't expect it to stop changing.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I highly recommend reviewing your insurance once a year, actually. So the reasons is because like you could have forgotten to, you know, tell them that you upgraded your bathroom and kitchen and now your home value is higher.
Right.
So if you still have coverages that you haven't talked to your insurance about for 10 years, which is very common, then you may not realize that
you're underinsured.
Underinsured, exactly. So if your agent is not calling you and talking to you once at least every couple years, then I would definitely reach out.
Yeah, we when we lived in Colorado, after we moved, there was a huge fire that went through and wiped out practically a whole town. And a lot of those people were underinsured because number one, they hadn't checked it in so long. And number two, the property values had gone up so drastically. So they couldn't even rebuild.
And naturally they might have like an inflation guard on there that goes up. But as you could tell, obviously inflation has been crazy and gone up more than average. And a lot of insurance carriers don't have that built into their system, so they're not automatically renewing it. I mean, I can go on about all the stuff that people have forgotten to update, but just reach out to your agent. So if you're curious about what it might take to add some earthquake insurance onto your policy, give Samar a call. We'll have her information here, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.